I believe that I have been stalked by God my whole life. I do. He's relentless. He's got like some baptismal rifle that he's up there with. Hold him, almost got him. Over and over and over, he's been relentless with me. I went to Catholic school. I was raised Catholic. It's really a great faith with a lot of great people in it. And I was deeply in it for a long time. And then as I grew up and became more screwed up, I just left all religion and got farther and farther away from God. But as I tried to find my way back, God didn't make sense to me. The God of my understanding, the way it had been taught to me, the way I understood it, just didn't make sense. My mother committed suicide when I was 13 years old. By the time I was 20, I was making I think by 24, I was making about $300,000 a year. And most of it went directly up my nose. Most of it was spent on stuff and drugs and anything to make me feel better. Because the more successful I had become, the more miserable I had become. I was empty inside. I was a shell. And the more bitter I became. When I was 18 years old, before I really started to become bitter, I moved to Provo, Utah. Wow. It makes Stepford look sane. Well, gosh, how do you do? Welcome to Provo. And I'm 18 years old, and I'm like, what the heck is in the water here? What is all that about? These people are far too happy. What's going on? But I'm smoking, and I remember I worked at K96, and I was amazed because I had a short haircut, and I looked like a clean-cut kid. I wasn't, but I looked like a clean-cut kid. And I was standing outside, and it was about this time of year. It was snowy and cold, and I'm standing outside smoking because you couldn't smoke indoors. And I'm just smoking, thinking, I hate this place. So cold. And I'll never forget the general manager of the radio station. He came in, and he stopped, and he looked at me, and he said, he saw me with a cigarette, and he said, I'm sorry, Glenn, I just assumed that you were a Mormon. And I said, oh, that's okay. I just assumed you were normal. Had a lot of Mormon friends. I only lived there for 6 months. And I don't know, for a while there, the Lord had that baptismal rifle. He's like, holy cow, hang on, hold him, almost. Ah! And I went my own path. And before you knew it, I found myself transferred to Washington, D.C., where I worked at WPGC. And I couldn't wait to get out of Utah. I couldn't wait to get away from all those happy people. I need to be with people who are miserable, someplace out in the East. So I went out, and I'm working at WPGC, and I go out, and I have first day on the job, part of the morning show there, and I meet the news guy, and he says, oh my gosh, I am so glad to meet you. I hear you're from Provo. And I went, no. I temporarily lived there. And he said, oh. And I said, you're not Mormon? Yes. Yes, I am. Oh. He was a great guy. He was a great guy. Great family. Invite me over for family home evening. I come from a dysfunctional family. I'm like, what the heck is all this crap, playing games and stuff with each other? You, kid, stop talking to your dad. That's just not right. And I eventually turned on my friend. He was so nice, but I fell in with the wrong crowd. And it was popular to bash him. And so I did. To my eternal shame, I bashed him. Lo and behold, I found myself unemployed pretty quickly. Now I was out of job for 6 months, one of the longest periods of my life that I had been unemployed. I'm 18 years old, but I found myself out of work. And can't find a job. Finally find a job in Corpus Christi, Texas, where I'm going to be the program director and the morning man. 18 years old, just about to turn 19. Program director and morning man, youngest in the country. Look at me, dig me, I'm successful. I go down to this station, and I think I am going to run this place. Oh, yeah. And then I meet the general manager, who's a Mormon. And I'm thinking to myself, how many Mormons are there, man? Jeez, we gotta tie their tubes or something, because they're breeding like rabbits. It's so funny that you would applaud at that, because if I said that in a different setting, it'd be like, yeah, let's tie their tubes. You hate mongers. So I go down there, and nothing happens. I just watch. I watch these collections of Mormons breeding, doing something to take over the world, I'm sure. And time goes on. I find myself later in life going to Baltimore, Maryland. It's going to be the biggest job of my career at that time. Making more money than I ever had before. More fame than I probably ever had. My career is just skyrocketing. Each job is bigger. Each position is bigger. Each position carries more money. More fame comes with it. But I'm miserable. And I'm drinking, and I'm doing drugs. But fame has got to be the answer. Money has got to be the answer. I just got to get to that next job. If I can just do this job, then I can get to the next job, and then I'll be happy. And when I get to that one, well, no, but that's not quite right. It's got to be the next job. I got to buy that next thing. I had put a show together for a long time with a guy who worked about a year on it. 5 days before we went on the air. 5 days before we went on the air. Biggest show of my life. He calls me up and says, I can't do it. I'm going to stay here. I changed my mind. I can't do it. I said, what are you talking about? We've been doing this for a year. We've been planning. 5 days away from broadcast. What do you mean you can't do it? I call everybody I know. Everybody I know. Do you know anybody that would work with me? Do you know anybody that we would sound good? Here's what I'm trying to do. Finally called a guy. He said, you know what, Glenn, I've got the perfect guy for you. I know exactly who would be the best guy for you to work. You're going to hate each other personally.